Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Southampton 0, Aston Villa 3. Listeners, I can only apologise for the delay in this podcast. I was having the worst hay fever attack ever, but here we are. We're going to talk about the game. Before we get into it, how are you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, thanks, mate. I'm not too bad at all. Enjoying the weekend. Always nice after a 3-0 win. Maybe the scoreline flatters us a little bit, but I'm certainly not complaining.
Do you know what? I was just saying this to my dad when we were watching, rewatching Match of the Day. There's been so many results against teams like Southampton, even Leicester, the teams in the bottom half of the Premier League, where I think we've just made it so incredibly difficult for ourselves. And I find it really, I don't want to say frustrating, but like, if I take you back to last Monday, mate, I can imagine you were doing the exact same thing as I was. You sat down after your dinner, you're watching Monday Night Football, Newcastle away at Leicester, and they've scored four in the first half. And you just sat there thinking, why do we never make light work of these games? Why is it that we show up and put in a 12 out of 10 performance against Manchester City, against Arsenal, the games where in theory you would sit there and go, yeah, like a loss wouldn't be like, obviously for where we want to be, we want to win every game, but if we lost there, it's understandable. But we make such hard work of these types of games, and as you said, the 3-0 really does flatter us. I know we created a lot of chances, but it was a bit of a bore fest, really, weren't it, for large portions of the game?
And so it was in the home leg as well, the home type leg. I think it was only 1-0. John Duran scored the winner after about 25 minutes, and the rest of the game was kind of done and dusted after that. It wasn't really considering, Southampton's form across the season. They have provided, I mean, tough opponents. And you look, when you look at the stats, 25 shots to their 7, 10 on target to their 2, 61% of the ball, 537 passes. It's, all stacks up pretty nicely. 13 corners for the Villa. Southampton had 2. The stats would make for, reading that concurs really that, yeah, this looked like a kind of blowout from the Villa. But it's typical, isn't it? This is one of the biggest mysteries in football is what happens to relegated sides, when their relegation is mathematically confirmed. It's that classic Johnny Lescott line. The weight comes off your shoulders, you don't feel the pressure, and, suddenly they can kind of go out and play with a little bit more freedom. You kind of get that combined with the kind of caretaker manager situation as well. And so, yeah, like you get to this point where, we 70 odd minutes into the game, it's still 0-0. And, for all of that kind of chat about maybe it flatters the Villa, I will say that there are still moments, I think, mate, when you're supporting the Villa where you kind of, you're watching a game and you're like, you can literally see games unfold where a few years ago you're like, yeah, we would have gone on to draw this. And I do believe that, the Villa of kind of, 2020, 2021, they 100% draw this game 0-0. And, we go on and we take a point and we move on. Whereas this Villa team and this game, perhaps more than any, is an illustration of just how good the bench unit is. And that's what the difference is now between this Villa team and the teams of yesteryear, is that the depth that we have on the bench across the squad is pretty crazy. We've broken a Premier League record yesterday. It's the first time in Premier League history that 3 substitutes have gone on to score in a game. And, if that doesn't illustrate that point, I don't know what does. It's pretty remarkable when you look at the names that we were able to bring off the bench yesterday. John McGinn, Ollie Watkins, Andres Garcia, Daniel Marlon, Boubacar Kamara. That still left Disasi, Digne, Pau Torres on the bench. It's a pretty stacked team. And, that's when you consider that on the pitch we had Rashford, Asensio, Rodgers, Ramsey, Onana, Cash. Like we have a lot of Matson's come up with goals recently as well. Yuri's playing incredibly well. We have such strength in depth at the moment, and that's what's made the difference today. And you kind of look at Unai, seemed to illustrate that last season we fell short on so many fronts and kind of dragged ourselves to the finishing line because we were relying on the same 11 kind of week in, week out. And he wanted to kind of build a squad of 20 or so really, really reliable players that can come on and deliver. We're able to rotate like we have, throughout the last kind of 7 days or so, and get to a point where we can rely on the bench unit like that. It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty remarkable. And look, like, it won't make any headline going and beating the team rock bottom of the Premier League, one of the worst Premier League sides of all time, the earliest side ever relegated from the Premier League, going there and winning 3-0 is hardly newsflash stuff. But there's probably an undercurrent here that for those that watch the game, it was a really good illustration of Villa needing to rely on their bench and the bench then coming up clutch.
I actually thought the team was stronger than starting than we had expected in the last podcast, mate.
Yeah.
There was 4 changes. Obviously, Mings comes in and there's a few others, but I think we're all expecting Ollie to start. I think we're all expecting Daniel to start. So it was interesting to see how we handled that, especially considering, we've got PSG to come on Tuesday, then it's Newcastle, then it's City, then it's Palace at Wembley. So the fixture list is relentless. So it's interesting to see. And you got to give a shout out to Rodgers and you've got to give a shout out to Tielemans, because these guys are just absolute beasts. And I sort of cringe every time I think of me talking about Tielemans in the summer, being really worried about his game time and his minutes, because he's been ever present. Yuri must have listened to all them podcasts and gone, right, I'm proving Dan Morgan from the Villa for the wrong, because he's so reliable, so consistent. That ball that he played for Ollie as well, it's a carbon copy of the one he played for Morgs the other week as well against Forest. We're seeing such consistency from him, and the fact that he's able to play 2 games a week, 90 minutes usually as well, absolutely unbelievable, mate. It's remarkable, and it's a testament to the recruitment, as you say, mate. We've got an unbelievable squad, and that was done a little bit before, but Yuri Tielemans on a free, we've got to be talking about one of the best transfers in the Premier League in recent times, haven't we?
Oh, mate, for sure. But considering the narrative that kind of surrounded that transfer, I think I remember kind of saying myself that, I'm glad we got him on a free. I don't think I would have paid a tremendous amount for him. Yuri Tielemans' stock has probably never been lower than it was following that Leicester relegation. There were kind of all sorts of accusations that he was lazy, he wasn't putting in the yards, maybe was a little bit kind of overweight, was a shadow of the player that, took them to, FA Cup glory just a couple of years before, had them competing in Europe. And how he's kind of come in and offered us a really kind of ready-made replacement for Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz was a player that I thought we'd miss so much. I thought he kind of had a almost irreplaceable skill set, really. But actually what Yuri's kind of been able to do is come in and step into that role and, play alongside Buba, play alongside Onana, who, again, I thought was great yesterday. Has been so good. And, I hate to kind of say, I kind of hate these kind of takes, but you do feel that if he was in almost any other shirt, teams competing around the top 6 of the Premier League, there'd be so much chatter about him. And it does feel that the potential that, he had and was earmarked for in those early days at kind of Anderlecht and Monaco, he is now realizing. He's just not getting the press because, he's doing it in claret and blue rather than, honestly, like the white of Real Madrid or the red of Bayern Munich or something. It's incredible what he's been doing, the consistency that he plays at, the minutes that he plays at, the moments that he delivers, the way that he is able to kind of craft those balls from deep. That's 2 weeks in a row really now with that, and the ball against Nottingham Forest from Morgan Rodgers. They're both basically kind of carbon copies of each other. That kind of curled ball from deep that kind of sweeps into the path of the attacker, and it's glorious. And look, I mean, hey, it's hardly put on a plate for Ollie. There's still so much that Watkins needs to do to finish it. But yeah, I mean, Yuri's been great, mate, and maybe he doesn't have the goal scoring output that someone like Luiz had. And, Luiz was a real threat from kind of 18, 20 yards. And that's actually something that, we probably expected of Tielemans when he came to Villa. He was this real long-range threat, had really built up a reputation for Leicester as a player from dead ball situations, from 20, 25 yards, had a pretty outstanding goal catalogue. And we've not really seen that for Villa. He has kind of taken a step back and become this real kind of orchestrator from deep line positions in midfield, and hasn't necessarily been given the license to get 20, 25 yards out, crash the box, arrive late from set pieces and stuff like that. But we're so much better for it. And actually, the assists that he's been able to rack up from those deeper positions are really starting to speak for itself. And yeah, him and Rodgers, as you say, mate, absolute mainstays in that team. And it's hard to imagine, they'll get too much rotation between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, they're in there for the long haul, mate. They are, and we're a better team for that, which is great news. But Ollie, so happy for him. Like the goal, it sums up both of our feelings about Ollie forever, mate, doesn't it? No time to think. Unbelievable instinctual finish. That's Ollie Watkins, and you could see just how much it meant to him. And it gave me the celebration gave me the same kind of vibes as the Euros, mate. Like I don't want to say it's like his I'm here moment, because he's scored 73 goals for Aston Villa now. He's like 1 or 2 off Gabby's record, I think. So, but with all the sort of criticism and talk there's been, which has been fair, I think, this season, to be fair, but you could just tell it meant so much. And it was that, proverbial weight off the shoulders for him. And it couldn't have come at a better time, especially with the PSG game. I think it begs the question about how we line up, especially given who rotated, who's came in and done well. Obviously, Marlon can't play, but that Marlon, again, let's just copy and paste the segment from the last podcast, right? Because it's the exact same goal. It's trademark Marlon. It's exactly what we've been saying since he signed. I love this guy. I love him. I'm all in on Daniel Marlon. And the talk of Emery in the week about players coming in and having frowns on their faces and being grumpy and sort of giving him these looks in training. He was talking specifically about Daniel Marlon. He was talking about Marlon. We know that. He's not had the game time that we feel he deserves. And boy, he's been taking his chance. He's grabbed the ball by the horns and he's scoring some wonderful goals. And I hate to make this like a Marlon Watkins thing, but like Ollie in that same situation, it's a beautiful ball from Morgan that's played in. Marlon's run, timed perfectly, finds this space on the inside top of the box. He can only put it in one place. He can only put it in that far corner, realistically. He's going to have to do it with a lot of power, which he does. But that first touch to knock it out, keeps moving, hits it in his stride. Ollie would have taken the ball, stopped, step over, inside, outside, try beat the man, wouldn't have got a shot off. Like we missed this kind of clinical finishing. Especially when, for the past 18 months, Leon Bailey's not really been in form. He's obviously injured. He's not in the side right now. This was a genius piece of business, especially for the price. I think it was a really good price. I think and the way of looking at it as well, I can understand why people were kind of like Marlon, I don't know, like he's not really played. Seems like a waste of money. Didn't need him. Marlon's come in as the direct Jaden Philogene replacement. All you have to do is open up Twitter, type in Jaden Philogene, and see exactly how the Ipswich Town fans feel about this guy. I know he scored 2 fluky goals against Manchester United about a month ago now, but the levels, there's no comparison, mate. There's no comparison. This guy's come in, he's played in a Champions League final, and he's scoring important goals for us. And it is a dying shame that he can't play on Tuesday, because that's what we're missing. That's what we missed on Wednesday.
Yeah, I hit it for sure. I think that's the first thing that I thought, to be honest with you, when I saw Watkins' goal, is that's probably just put you in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
it's very to be. It's a huge goal for him, and it is for Ali. And I think, like as you say, it is kind of crazy how he does have to keep proving himself, and I imagine that he feels slightly disgruntled by that. Only 3 players have 20 plus goal involvements over the last 3 seasons in the Premier League. That's Erling Haaland, Mo Salah, and Ollie Watkins. He's in elite company there, really. And we still kind of find ourselves in this position where, on a week-by-week basis, is Ollie Watkins a set name on the team sheet? Absolutely not. Does he still have, such is the nature? I'm not saying it should be any other way. Such the nature of the competition in this Villa team. But yeah, it's crazy, and you know he hasn't been the same player this season as he has last. But you know you still can't, 14 goals, 6 assists to bring it up to 20 for the season. You imagine there's still a couple in there to go. He's only, I think, is it 2 now away from equaling Gary's record of our all-time Premier League scorer. So he's chasing up on that, and really, probably should have been on that second penalty.
Controversial.
Yeah, I know. But I think considering he had scored the goal and Asensio had missed one, I do understand why he was a little bit disgruntled that he wasn't on that. I'm gonna spare Marco's blushes, and I'm not gonna talk about those 2 penalties because they were shockers. Really, really.
But penalties as a whole, mate. Penalties as a whole. Aston Villa. What is up? Why can we not
We've had this conversation too many times, haven't we? I've got a stat here actually. We failed to score 3 of our last 5 penalties in the Premier League, as many as in our last previous 19 penalties.
Dave.
So yeah, it's something we really, really need to get on top of. And Asensio obviously took one against Bruges and looked so assured doing it, but those 2 yesterday were terrible. Basically, the first one was really poor, and then the second, basically a carbon copy of it, if not perhaps slightly worse. It's lucky that Guinea's on there and we win 3-0 and we're able to kind of laugh about it now. But there's an alternate universe where those 2 penalties really are not a laughing matter. But I think that kind of added to the emotion behind Ollie's goal is that we just missed the penalty. That was kind of the point yesterday where I was kind of looking at that like, man, this is not our day. Like we are gonna draw this game. And for Ollie to kind of come off the bench, to come on for Rashford, to score like that, it's such a difficult chance. And you kind of made the point about that Marlon's goal. I'm inclined to agree with you, mate, but it's crazy that the Marlon goal is almost Ollie's trademark finish from yesteryear, in that it's that kind of take a touch snapshot across the keeper into the far corner. It's his goal against the Netherlands, right? He did a goal against the Netherlands. He did it at Stamford Bridge. It's a very, very similar finish, and yeah, like that's the kind of goals that he scores when he has his confidence. I do think that for all the goal scoring prowess we have in the team, it is the striking position where, yeah, you are flitting between Rashford and Watkins kind of game by game. Neither has really kind of grabbed it by the scruff of the net and made it their own. But maybe that was Ollie Watkins' best way of doing that from now until the end of the season, was to come up with goals like that. And we've seen in Rashford's early tenure that he is really, really effective off the left wing, and that's something that maybe we kind of played these are. Everyone kind of says that they're good problems to have. That's the old cliche, isn't it? These are good problems to have for a manager. Are they? I'm not sure. I don't think I'd like to be in Unai Emery's position.
It's a good problem if they're both scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we're taking turns, really, isn't it? That's the thing. But we got the job done. That's all that matters. It's another clean sheet as well, which we shouldn't turn our nose up at all, despite the opposition. Boy, did we need that. I'm starting to think that Emmy's losing his mind. He must have a clean sheet bonus thing built into his contract. It would make sense, right? This guy's clearly struggling to feed his family, because he's been off the boil this season. He's been off the boil, and it feels like only 18 months, 2 years ago, we were so solid defensively, and things have slowly gotten worse. I know that seems like quite an extreme thing to say considering the seasons that we've had, but we have been shipping a lot of goals, and we've been shipping a lot of shit goals as well. I'm just glad we finally booked this first shot on target equals goal against trend. We've dealt with that. We've overcome that, and I mean, say it every week, mate, but the running is just mad. So guys, you're going to want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed the podcast, leave a comment in the comment section down below and like the video also. Love the Villa.